right. So here we are, episode number 2. And on this go around, we actually came up with the name for our new podcast.
No, you came up with it.
Well, you agreed.
Well, I agreed to it, but you invented
agreed to it.
So you're going to say it now?
Yeah. It's called Talking Shit. All right. And when you hear this name, I need everyone to visualize like big, bright letters in their head. Talk in shit. All right. Talking shit. So that's what we decided to roll with for our podcast.
Yeah, it's not surprising because Mr. X says it to me all the time. I'm sure you even said it in the last podcast that I said I'm talking shit. I said that about myself, but you say it all the time.
I don't really remember a lot from that last podcast. It's like a blur.
It was a whiny blur.
Once it actually I wasn't drunk. I wasn't the drunk one at all. Like I was buzzed. It felt good, but you know.
Yeah, Toby had a few drinks that day, but I was fine.
Right. Yeah, you handled it very well.
Yeah, thank you.
Very well.
Thank you.
Yes. So this one is going to be more today is going to be one of our more serious topics. And this is what we're actually aiming for on this podcast. We're actually aiming for different viewpoints from, I guess, different different political viewpoints, different, economic viewpoints, and just different views, you know. And I'm one of the guys that would like to think on the outside of the box versus just going with what's being forced and pushed in our face. And today we're going to talk about this whole Michael Vick petition that's going around, how they want him to be removed as an honorary captain in I believe it's the Hall of Fame. Let me pull it up actually and see.
And for any people out there like me that don't know sports, just explain what that title would mean, because I've already figured out that he's no longer a player. He's like a commentator or something, right?
Yeah, he's a sports. He's a former NFL player, a damn good one too, and now he's a sports analyst on a TV show, and it actually says more than 283,000 signed petition to remove Michael Vick as honorary Pro Bowl captain. And what that is, the Pro Bowl is in it's the week before the Super Bowl. That's how long ago it is. All right. And we're in week 14 right now. All right. So you're talking maybe around like what? 14, 15, 16, 17. At least another 7 weeks before this even becomes a issue. And I did not actually have time to look up the young lady that started the petition. So I did want to get out some background on her, but at this podcast we go off. We just like to go live, man, and raw. And so I didn't actually pull up any background on this lady whatsoever, but I'll just read the article. And this article is from actually Fox News, and we all know, well, not we all, but we know Fox's angle on different shit. So it says, let me see where I'll start at. I'll just start at the top. It says a petition calling for NFL to remove former Atlanta quarterback Michael Vick as one of the 4 Legends captains at the 2020 Pro Bowl has gained momentum, generating hundreds of thousands of signatures due to his past history of animal abuse that was uncovered nearly 12 years ago. And so the thing about this is Michael Vick was found guilty and charged in a notorious and vicious dogfighting ring. Okay, and it was a lot of betting on the dogs and a lot of terrible punishment that he did towards the animals.
Right, because they basically fight to the death.
Right, and they fight to the death, and when they the ones that didn't die, they were tortured or put down in horrendous ways, man. All right, like, and first of all, I want to get this out on the record and say, as far as him being sentenced and having to go through community service and paying fines and all the other shit, that's what he deserves. Okay, he done some shit that he shouldn't have been doing, and he needed to be punished for it. All right. So, and that's how I feel. If you do something that you're not supposed to be doing, you're owing the punishment for it. All right. Having said that, like, you shouldn't be fighting fucking dogs, man. You know, like, you were a millionaire at the time. You know, you could have invested your money in any other type of businesses except for dog fighting. So you got your ass jammed and caught up, and he had to pay the price.
Is this like a common thing?
Dog fighting is a very, very common thing. Very common.
Like in the South or like all over America, or
I'm not gonna really say I know where it originated from. It is a very huge thing in the South, but I'm sure it's in other places as well, you know. So yes, dog fighting is a normal thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, for like, you got to imagine that he wasn't the only celebrity involved in this, right?
Absolutely not. There were other football players
on
his team that was involved in it, you know.
Right.
So yeah.
So yeah, I was thinking about Mr. X posed this topic for today's podcast a couple days ago, and I was thinking about it and what I would say, because on my Facebook there was a wee conversation. I just posted about this graphic that was out there, and just asking the question, is this manhunt towards him racially motivated? And I mentioned last time that I'm not a very critical thinker, and I don't think I've talked about this, but if you know me, you may know that I love dogs in particular. There's a pretty significant dog rescue that I was part of in China because of like similar torture. And I think that if I read an article about Michael Vick and I read that, you know, he had a dog fighting ring and they wanted his job, I would have been like, yeah, he's an asshole. You know, I would have thought that was totally acceptable, you know, not reading into how long ago it was, not reading into like the penance that he's paid. I would have just, you know, gone with my emotions and been mad at him for doing that to the dogs. So you have a different viewpoint about this, right?
Yes, my viewpoint on it is that I believe it's strictly racially motivated, because the thing about it is that Michael Vick did his time. All right, he was sentenced. I think he spent like a year in jail, probation, up to $1 million in fines, and we're going to get to that those fines as well, because I pulled up some other information about a NFL owner of a team that was fined less than Michael Vick, and actually got a steeper punishment than Michael Vick. And this is an NFL owner, someone who should know better. All right, and he wasn't this NFL owner, which is Jim Irsay of the Colts. He did not kill any dogs or any of that, but he decided to drive under the influence. And not only was he, when he was pulled over, that he was under the influence, but there was, I want to say, $20,000 in cash, and there was many I want to say hydrocodone pills or some other shit that was found on him.
Oxy and
some shit like that. So no one called for his job. No one asked for him to be removed. He served a 6-game suspension, a $500,000 fine. I mean, what is $500,000 to a NFL owner? You know what I mean? He'll spend that he'll spend it on more pills and and liquor, you know. And the man did actually have to go to a substance abuse program because he abuses substances. It's not just a one-time thing. And usually when you I'm no psychologist or anything, but usually when you find someone with the amount of I don't know what they call it, contraband or amount of shit that he had on him, that usually screams for some type of I don't know, addiction, if you will. So yeah, but gonna get back into a little bit of this article, and it says, as of Saturday at 4 p.m., more than 283,000 people have signed the petition started by Joanna Lynn on change.org. I don't know what change.org is. Again, I just found the article and decided to go through it. With the goal of removing the former quarterback from a role, he would be honored and act as a mentor for the players. Excuse me. Just saw this on Facebook and was absolutely disgusted, Lynn wrote. When is the NFL going to take any responsibility for the behavior of its current and former players?
Can I stop you there?
Go for it.
So he's the only NFL player to have ever done anything illegal.
Right. Which is, and that's another point that which is why I brought up the because I read a little bit of the article, which is why I brought up the whole NFL owner thing. He's absolutely not the only player that has done that has gotten in trouble. It's a trend with the NFL players, that they get into trouble. But what we tend to fail to realize is that these players are human beings still. They're not robots. They're going to lash out at people in the media. They're going to make mistakes, just like your boss at your job, or your neighbor. Like, they're normal people just with extraordinary abilities, So they're going to have mishaps. They're going to fuck up in life, man. That's just what it is.
This reminds me of what happened at UNT a month ago.
Right.
Like, there was, she's pretty high up in the university. She's a vice president of something. She's a lawyer. And she was giving a talk about, it was something about like racial inequality and language. And she used the N-word in a sentence. And she used it as an example, like in a very derogatory way. But the point is that she was like a white woman who said the N-word at a UNT press conference in front of like students and staff and everything. And she lost her job the next day.
I remember.
The next day.
I actually remember hearing the story, and then I believe you forwarded me the article as well.
Mm-hmm.
But going back into what we were saying, NFL players are going to have their mishaps and going to have their fuck ups. Okay. My thing about that is, if they get into any trouble, let's take the necessary steps to discipline them. But at the same time, if I have an argument with my wife, why does it have to be smeared all across everywhere? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, if I get into any trouble, I get it that I get to be fined by the NFL, but like, normal people's business isn't spread throughout the four corners of the earth, if you will, But these NFL players' businesses are made worldwide,
Well, I think sometimes that's true, but I think for most often it's not. Like, look, take Trump, the president of your country,
right?
And he's done all this crazy shit,
right?
And he's still the president of the country.
Well, that goes back into our initial thing. If Obama did any, for the record, the hell with Barack Obama, okay? Like, the hell with him. I'm just using him as an excuse because this is what some senators have said, that we've given them a black president. So just for the record, the hell with Obama. But if Obama was to, I don't know, cheat on his wife openly with a porn star, they would call for his head.
Yeah.
They were calling for his head when he done less of the shit that Trump did, So that goes back again to like things being racially motivated. There's many articles and things that I could pull up where a so-called black man would do a crime and a so-called white man would do the crime, and the black man would get more time. These are actual events and things that can be proven. And this goes back to the whole Michael Vick situation, because the man did his time. He fought the dogs. Like I say, he paid his fines. He paid his debt to society. He was reinstated in the NFL. Peter came to all his fucking games and protested. Mm. He continued to play. He stopped playing. He retired, and now you're bringing it back up. Mm-hmm. It's like your past will always haunt you. But you don't see anyone protesting about. And Philadelphia is my football team. And I just posted a picture on I believe your post yesterday of the NFL quarterback Carson Wentz shooting a deer.
Mm-hmm.
Is Peter gonna be out in front of his games protesting him, telling him they don't think he should play? And Michael Vick is not even playing. Keep this in mind.
Mm-hmm.
All right, he's just going out there to flip a coin or whatever, or
Mm-hmm.
motivate and rally up the players.
Like just something ceremonial.
Something ceremonial. And my whole thing is that, like, to the average person, they won't see anything wrong with this. But again, like, why are we making this such a big deal if the man has already paid his debt to society? Because like the list can go on and on. Ben Roethlisberger, quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers, not once, not twice, has been accused of rape. All right, raping 2 women in a bathroom. All right, did they call for his job? He still gets to play in the NFL. All right. So when we see events like this, someone has to show me something or explain to me and tell me how these incidents are not driven by race.
Me today of that white woman with the animals. There's like elephant and a zebra.
Elephant, zebra, giraffe.
Right. So I know that, like, do you know how that takes place in Africa?
I have no idea.
Okay, so most of those animals are on reserves, and the reserves actually charge money to kill them.
Right.
And it's like, depending on how rare the animal is, it could be up to 100,000 just to kill one animal, right?
Right.
So whoever that woman was in the picture, I don't know who she was, but she's very wealthy. That was probably like a $300,000-$400,000 picture that she took with those 4 animals.
Wow.
But the point is, what does she do? What job does she have?
Right.
Are people asking for her head?
Right.
Like, why this guy at this time and not all of these other fucking murderers of these endangered species?
Right. Because if we're the whole point is animals, right? Not just dogs, right? Because here's the thing, like, I like dogs. I'm not a dog lover. Like, I'm not, oh, the dog is gonna be walking around me, licking me all the time. Like, nah. But I have fucking common sense not to go fight a dog and then not to torture it when it's dead. Like, give me a break. That's ridiculous. All right. So we got to keep in mind that the man did his time, did everything he was supposed to in white America's eyes. And now his past is still coming back. So for any listeners on this podcast or anyone, I need them to explain to me, why are they calling for this man's not job, but to be removed from an honorary captain in an event that has no meaning whatsoever. Okay, he's done everything that he was supposed to do: probation periods, money, all this other shit, man. So when is enough going to be enough? Because at some point in time, we're going to have to get ready and talk about the elephant in the room, man. And the elephant in the room that no one wants to talk about, that everyone wants to dance around, is racism, man. Racism is embedded in America, and it is alive and well. And there's numerous events to prove this, man. But a lot of people choose to turn their nose to it or act like it doesn't exist. And I'll let you talk just a second. I'm sorry.
No.
And pretty soon, for all you listeners, you're going to have to get ready to deal with it very, very soon.
So when you're talking about the elephant in the room, we've talked about this topic before, and how Trump has brought out the racists, right?
Okay, let me ask you this: do you believe that Trump has really done that? I
100% believe that he's given a voice to the people that thought they had to stay secret. Like, oh, I'm quietly racist and I'm just going to do it in my house or say shit to my kids. But because Trump says it out loud, now it's okay.
Okay, now I want to ask you this, because this is interesting. This is why.
Do you disagree or agree?
No. I agree, but I could easily be pushed off as the angry black man. You understand what I'm saying? But coming from someone who is new to this, and clearly an event or something that's happened for you to see this, is you're speaking on it. And so that's why I wanted to stop and ask you, what did you see that is giving the okay by Trump? What did you see?
Well,
what do you feel?
It started with the in quotes Mexicans. you know, like his open hatred of them being in your country.
Oh my goodness.
And like you look at the children who are born here, who are legitimate Americans. Like, I don't even know what that means, but I mean, there are people our age that were born and raised in America, but they're not legal or whatever.
Right.
Like, I don't understand all the background to it, but he just, like, with all the wall bullshit, which is clearly just about hatred.
Which I hear that there's no wall between America and Canada, by the way.
There's grass.
Right.
Like,
so we'll build a wall with Mexico, but not Canada. So I guess you motherfuckers got to walk all the way around. If you can get there, you can get in.
No, it's actually funny driving along. It's called Zero Avenue. Because there's nowhere else to go, you know. and there are houses along it on either side. Like, so there's the Americans right there. You can wave at them as you drive by. Like, it's crazy.
Right.
But like, I think that's the racism, open racism, and correct me if I'm wrong. I think it started there. Because you were allowed to hate Mexicans. He gave permission to do that.
Right. And just for the record, Mexicans were here thousands of years ago before anyone was, for the record.
Right. And like that woman the other day said, they were black before the Spanish started mating with them. And I don't know what that has to do with anything.
That has to do with a lot, but that's another topic for another day. Oh shit, Toby getting deep. Over here talking shit.
There you go. So I'm going to quote someone.
All right.
I've got to be honest. There's few things I find more irritating than people who insert race into things for no reason. And I think that's one of the things that kind of fired me up. Well, I didn't get fired up internally, is that I think it's common for white people to look at an issue that black people get mad about, or any non-white, and go, oh, you're just playing the race card.
Wow.
And not actually see what's happening, because I think white people like to live in this bubble where everything is perfect and we have a white picket fence, and there's no such thing as racism anymore. It's the 21st century.
Right.
Like, come on, we're evolved species. I've seen these arguments and comments before, like, you know, in this day and age, we're not racist anymore. But I've learned a lot and seen a lot in the past 4 months, just from living here and meeting friends like you, you know, that you have to alter your behavior. You have to alter your speech. You have to do things around white people constantly, I think. Right? And it's like a fucking shame. Like that video the other day of the woman who got carded for trying to use a check. A black woman had to provide ID, et cetera, to use a check at a grocery store, when a white woman just went through.
Which was her sister.
Which was her sister, her sister-in-law, and didn't have to prove her identity at all. Didn't have to go through the bad checkbook. The fact that still exists today in 21st century proves that racism is still alive. Alive
and well. And I guess we can close out here. Those, I mean, I'm at a loss for words, because I very, very rarely hear a so-called white person say the things that you say. And they are in truth, which is why at the beginning, I said I wanted to get different viewpoints from, you know, different spectrums. And from different backgrounds that we clearly come from. And again, man, racism is here. It's alive. It's well. We won't always talk about it on this show. You know, we'll talk about serious topics like this one, and we'll talk about, you know, dating advice, love advice. But what America is going to have to get ready to do is get ready to face the racism problem, man. Like, you're going to have to adjust it. It's getting down to the boiling point, man. A lot of so-called black people are fed up with the shit. A lot of so-called white people are fed up with the shit. And a lot of so-called white people are openly with their racism. So
and benefiting from white privilege,
and benefiting from white privilege as well, man. So
mm-hmm.
we're gonna have to address this here soon, America. You know, and I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't think it's gonna end up good. It hasn't ended up well in the last 400 fucking years. So why would it start now?
Mm-hmm.
And that's all I got to say about that.
So I guess we'll end here. Thank you for listening to Talking Shit.
Talk to shit.
And hope you join us next time, and have a wonderful day.